First this hour, a new story that is developing and we are following. U.S. President Donald Trump says that Christianity faces existential threat in Nigeria, and he is adding the West African nation to a State Department watch list. According to Trump, radical Islamists are responsible for mass slaughter and killing of thousands of Christians. Although he did not state the source of the information leading to that conclusion, he went on to put the country on a countries of particular concern list of nations, and the U.S. finds have engaged in religious freedom violations. Well, the list includes China, Myanmar, North Korea, Russia, Pakistan, among others. According to the State Department website, after giving the directive, Trump is asking the U.S. representatives Riley Moore and Tom Cole, as well as the House of Representatives Appropriations Committee, to look into the matter and report back to him. It will be recalled that the U.S. president first placed Nigeria on the list in 2020 during his first time in office before his successor, President Joe Biden, removed the country from the list in 2021.
All right, for an analysis on Trump's decision, we're joined now by Professor Chukwudi Odoeme. He's the head of Department, Public and International Law, Veritas University. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you so much.
Well, it does look like this is deja vu again. I mean, Trump, just like, this was read in that intro, did the same, something similar in his first term, and here we are again, and he's putting us in really, really bad company. But what does this mean for Nigeria? How much of a setback is this as Nigeria tries, to gain friends from all over the world, to attract foreign direct investment and, genuine interest in Nigeria from the international community? What does this mean for Nigeria?
I must say it's a very bad development. Particularly because of Nigerians' quest to have countries of the developed world come to invest in Nigeria, and the very bad part of it is that no country in the world, no company in the world that is into proper businesses who want to invest in a country where they are not sure that citizens' rights are protected. Many of the multinationals that have their base in the United States and the UK are also interested in the human rights situations of the countries they work in, because their shareholders at home are interested in all of those. It could get to the point where they will blacklist companies, blacklist products, and ask that, no, we don't want to patronize your companies because you do businesses in such places. But then how much that affects the profitability of those companies and their ventures in those countries is something that we're yet to study. Because you still see them, like the chevrons of this world, the Texacos in Myanmar, in all places of the world where, religious freedom is forbidden. Countries where human rights are suppressed, countries where, even freedom of expression and basic fundamental rights are not available at all. Yeah. So it's a very bad one, particularly because we're trying to launder our image at this time. It's a very bad development. Okay,
and do you see this complicating the relations between both nations further, US and Nigeria? And what should be the smart response from Nigeria this time?
Yeah. In terms of a relationship between Nigeria and the United States, as this is concerned, is a very important one. The reason is simple. For the United States to have come to a point of conclusion that Nigeria ought to be in that list and go a step forward to declare Nigeria as being a country of concern means that they have been, taking silent stock of what is going on in Nigeria. And genocide is one of those international crimes that no civilized world will want to hear. It doesn't matter whether it's against Christians, it doesn't matter whether it's against a simple tribe or a people, or a peoples, as we say in international law. It doesn't really matter. So I think the smart thing that Nigeria needs to do is that if you have taken a look at this allegation, because it's been there over time, there's so much complaints about how Christians are being treated in Nigeria. One of the biggest pointers, one of the biggest black points is that the government is not doing anything about it. So churches are destroyed, communities are sacked, and we hear the rumor that there are predominantly Christian communities, particularly in the Plateau State area, or that middle of the middle belt,
North Central.
Yes, and nothing happens. Communities are sacked, and it feels like nothing happened. Thousands of people are buried. Nobody cares. Not even government officials go to say, "Oh, this is bad," and the much they do is just condemn it on TV, and the same thing happens the next day, and it goes on like business as usual. So I think this government should particularly exonerate itself from this complaint. That's the smartest way
But
out.
has the Nigerian government done a good job of it when it pushes back and says, look, this is not, don't give this a religious slant, that every Nigerian, whatever the religious hue is, has been a victim at the receiving end of the violence, terrorism and all of that in Nigeria. Have they done a good job of it? And how more complicated is it that we don't even have ambassadors that they are interfacing with to actually paint the correct picture of what's going on in Nigeria?
Yeah, so let me start from the last point.
Yes.
Having ambassadors to pick, the countries don't get data from all these official quotas we may think. They have embassies around the world are like extensions of their countries there, so they have ways and means of getting data. And then it's not about Christianity, it's just that it's a population, because when you talk about genocide, you are talking about a selection of people you can put in a box in
and
one identity.
And eliminate them.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. No. What I mean is that in terms of identification.
Yes.
So it could be a tribe. It could be. It may just be even a cult group, or even a splitter group. So it's not even about it being Christian. It's about it being that these are citizens of Nigeria or constituents in Nigeria who are being, stereotyped, attacked because of their belonging to that group.
Right.
So that's a bad part of it.
Yeah, opinions have been divided even back at home on what is going on exactly, whether it's genocide against Christianity or not. But we should be reminded that President Biden did remove Nigeria from this list. Why is Trump fixated? Is this a fixation for him? Because he was the first to put it there, and he's back doing this. And just about 2 weeks ago, his special advisor on Arab and Africa, Masad Bolos, did say there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. He said everyone has been a victim, like Ngozi highlighted. But here we hear from Trump almost 2 weeks after saying this is Christian genocide.
Yeah, so the president holds it.
So what changed? Is it Nigeria that changed between Trump and Biden and his special advisor, or is this local politics for Trump?
No. This is not local politics. This is data speaking. This is data speaking, and then again, this is Trump's attitude. He has been all over the world trying to make sure that minorities are protected. You can see what he did in the Middle East in the case of Palestine. Nobody saw that coming, but he was able to broker peace to make sure that the Palestinians are safeguarded and there's a little bit of peace in that region. This has been his attitude. And if you also watch what is going on in his intervention in Ukraine, you find out that this is a man who, you like it or not, is open to making sure there's peace around the world, and that's what the United States stands for anyway. So they go to the ends of the world to restore dignity to people whose dignity are being impaired by one way or the other, and most unfortunately when governments are involved. You can even see what they are doing in Myanmar also, and certain other places of the world where such things are happening.
And Trump has consulted with U.S. Representatives Riley Moore, Tom Cole, as well as House Reps Appropriations Committee to look into the matter and report back to him. Should this have been done first before adding Nigeria, to that list?
The United States that I know don't work on, impulse. They don't work on impulse. There must be something on the table. The president doesn't listen to Nigerian news to see what is going on. He doesn't read Nigerian newspapers, but somebody does.
Even though they didn't mention the source of the information.
Yeah. So, but we are going to have access to that in the days to come.
Professor Odoeme of Veritas University, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see how things pan out and how the Nigerian government really responds to this.
So guys, you've heard it all for yourself. Donald Trump has actually decided to add Nigeria as a country of particular concern under US law. Guys, what prompted this decision? What does it entail for Nigeria, the US and global religious freedom advocacy, and how are stakeholders reacting to this decision? You're going to know in this video. We'll break everything down. So if you're here, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, so that you don't mix deep dives like this. So let's jump in. First, the term country of particular concern comes from the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998. under which the U.S. Secretary of State, and by delegation, the president may designate a country that has engaged in a tolerated particular severe violation of religious freedom. So those violations are defined as systematic, ongoing, and for example, what we are seeing in Nigeria, the detentions without charges, torture, prolonged detention without charges, just like nnamdi kanu, disappearance of person, or denial of right to life, liberty, or security of persons. So once a country is designated a CPC, that's country of particular concern, the U.S. government gains additional policy tools, including possible sanction, suspension of non-humanitarian aid, and diplomatic consequences. So guys, being added to this list is a significant step, guys. It signals serious concerns by the US regarding religious freedom condition in the designated country. So now, what exactly did Trump announce? On October 31st, 2025, President Trump declared that Nigeria would be designated a country of particular concern, citing what he described as an existential threat to Christianity in Nigeria, attributing it to radical Islamist violence. So according to a post on his Truth Social account and echoed via the White House communication channel, he said that Christianity is facing an essential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. So in addition, he announced that U.S. representative, that's the chair of the House committee, should investigate and report back on the situation. Guys, very important. Let me just state that the designation opens the door to sanction and other measures, but it does not automatically impose them. Now, the Nigerian government has publicly rejected this characterization, saying the allegation represents on the ground facts. Just like a mockery, invited people, I think that was Ned, the senator, that first of all opened about this Christian genocide. They came to Nigeria, and then Omokri actually debunked that claims, saying that these terrorists, they buy regardless of your religion, that it is not just targeted on Christians, it's also targeted on Muslims as well. So the Nigerian government, like I said, has rejected that characterization. They debunked the claims. So I know you'll be asking yourself, why Nigeria? Why is Nigeria standing on this crossroad? Now, various U.S. and international bodies, such as U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, have repeatedly called for Nigeria to be designated a CPC, arguing that violence and discrimination against religious minorities, especially Christians, continue to be systematic. Now, period history of Nigeria on CPC lists. Nigeria was named a CPC in December 2020 for the first time. However, it was removed the following year, 2021, despite ongoing advocacy for its redesignation. So now, another thing is escalating violence and insecurity in Nigeria. That is why Trump has decided to add Nigeria as a country of particular design, a country of particular concern list, is because the middle belt and northern regions of Nigeria has witnessed a mix of militant Islamist insurgencies such as Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa, farmer-header conflicts, primarily between Fulani herdsmen and local farmers, and ethno-religious violence. Some analysts argue these conflicts disproportionately affect Christian community now. And also, a push has been growing in US Congress and among religious freedom advocates for Nigeria's redesignation. For example, HRES 2020 called for redesignation. Trump's move could thus be seen as responding to this pressure and signaling a tougher line on religious freedom issues in Nigeria. So what are the potential consequences of this decision? Now, let me break down everything for you. Now, for Nigeria, the designation may lead to sanction or restriction on U.S. assistance outside humanitarian aid if follow-through actions are taken. And also, it places diplomatic and reputational pressure on the Nigerian government to respond to religious freedom concerns. It could complicate Nigeria's relation with the U.S., potentially affecting aid security cooperation and investment. Now, for U.S. foreign policy, this decision reinforces the U.S. commitment in Trump's view, to protecting religious freedom globally and signaling consequences for states that don't act. It could also raise questions for U.S. policy coherence, balancing strategic partnership. Nigeria is a major African country with human rights concerns. So, for religious freedom and civil society actors, for evangelical Christian group and religious freedom advocates, this decision is a victory, a recognition of their concerns about Nigeria. However, they are risk if the designation is seen as selective or politically driven. It may undermine credibility. Some analysts have pointed out that large number of Muslims are among the victims of violence in Nigeria's not, complicating the narrative. Now, for Nigerians on the ground, while the designation is largely symbolic until specific actions are taken, it could, spur increased international attention and possibly aid to vulnerable communities. But there is also a risk of backlash. If Nigerian authority feel unfairly targeted, it could hamper cooperation or even worsen security dynamics. Guys, that is justice. Let me know what you think about this. Was his move actually a good one by adding Nigeria into a country of particular concern watch list? Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.